Welcome to Norris. Can always count on our dear team to good morning. Thank you all for being here today. We are excited about this opportunity to be with you all, to have you um, hosting each other because we feel like it's such a great networking opportunity. So thank you all for being here. My name is Christina Castano. I'm with VIA. Let me welcome our senior director, Ms. Cami Horn, to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina, and welcome everyone. Before I start, can I ask that everyone who is with VIA, please stand up. Anyone who works for VIA. I want to give this team a round of applause and a great deal of gratitude. And I want to also thank Christina Castano for all of the work that you've done to pull this together in a fairly short amount of time. Today is something that I had thought about for a while during the fall. And I wanted to say a few words about that. And I want to genuinely thank each and every one of you for taking the time to be here today. This is how we are able to build teams to support the best work with VIA and for the city of San Antonio and our overall region. And it's really the only way to do that. And I want to tell you all, some of you know me, some of you don't, and I hope that those that don't know me, that I will get a chance to get to know you. Most of my career was in the private sector. So I spent years and years and years chasing work and trying to get on teams and really trying to sell what I did to clients. That's my background. And I think some of you today that I spoke with before just now, I was able to explain that part of the reason for this forum today was to hopefully level the playing field as much as possible and to allow for real networking to happen and everyone to get information from us at the same time. Because it's really hard to be on the other end feeling like, oh, do I have that right connection to get that information first? So we were very deliberate in putting this together and putting this together today and not waiting another month so that you all could hear what we have to share with you. So thank you all for being here, and I appreciate this, and I'm hoping that you all are able to network with each other and with us, and then that we'll see more of you very soon. So why we're here today to learn about our upcoming contracts that I just mentioned, to learn how to do business with VIA, and if you don't have all of your questions answered today, there are many opportunities to follow up, especially on the how to do business. You're going to hear from many of us today about that. To create teaming opportunities for subcontractors and DBE firms. So that's really, really important. We want to have meaningful work for everyone and great teams built from this. And then to develop your own network. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of background before I turn this over to Manjiri. A background on what Keep San Antonio Moving is. So a lot of what you'll hear today is part of Keep San Antonio Moving. Some are other projects that are not necessarily under that umbrella. But what is Keep San Antonio Moving? So Keep San Antonio Moving is where we are today, but um, it has been built over a series of plans, and we put this up here so you can kind of look at this and get some background information perhaps on where we were and where we're going. So before COVID, and really when I came to VIA, so I came to VIA almost 4 years ago. I came to VIA to be part of what was called Connect SA, which was a much more comprehensive program and had a lot more connections, deliberate connections with the city and also with TxDOT to put out a program of projects. And you can look at that and look up what that was. But then COVID hit, and we had to readjust. We readjusted the plan. in many ways. And then we did have overwhelming voter approval in November of 2020 for what is the Keep San Antonio Moving program. And I will talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to talk about what that is. So Keep San Antonio Moving is an absolutely transformative program to really change the way we move in San Antonio. And we'll talk about the projects, but what it really does is it maximizes what we can do with our service, where our service works best in the denser areas and a lot of what's within 410, using other options like Via Link, and in our outer areas where you might not have the same type of network, where our buses don't do as well, and where we can expand accessible coverage, redesigning that network, and then also adding our bus rapid transit, which I know that y'all are very excited to hear about today. And now we do have both our north-south and east-west projects moving forward in the federal program. So as you can see, the mission to include more, to have more frequent service. More frequent service is incredibly important. It makes our service easier to use. You don't need to have a schedule when a bus is coming every 15 minutes or so. Have more accessible options, increase our hours of operation, and really reduce the travel time that is needed. So I've talked about what these key KSAM elements are: improving the system, expanding the mobility options, and then putting more into capital and technology investments as well. You're also going to hear a bit about our maintenance facility. So we are looking to add another maintenance facility. San Antonio is the only major property in the U.S. that has one maintenance facility for their buses. We did just open another facility for our paratransit for our Via Trans, but all of our buses are still operated in the facility on San Pedro. It was actually built in 1947, so we are looking for a new maintenance facility to expand as well. So Via Link is one of the options, and I always encourage people to go out and try it. I'll also take a second here to let you all know that um, coming to the public sector and coming to Via really changed my own life. I gave up my own car about 2 years ago, and I take the bus every day. And so that has changed the way I look at mobility here. And I look every day at the things that we can do to do better, to make it easier, to really take down the barriers. And so Via Link is one of those excellent options, and I would encourage you to go out and try it. It was the first, maybe the first or second Manjeri, I don't know, of its kind in the U.S. We had many people coming down to visit us. I'm looking at Manjeri because, I do want to give Manjeri a lot of credit for thinking about how to put this service together and doing a lot of work to get it out there. And so Via Link is our mobility on demand. It operates similar to Uber or Lyft in many areas of the city where you have zones where you can go anywhere to anywhere and you can connect to our networks. We'll be talking in more detail about our advanced rapid transit network. Phase 1 is well underway with our north-south corridor and 30% design. And then our east-west corridor, it's very exciting. It is also in the federal program. So now I am going to turn this presentation over to our Vice President of Program Delivery, Manjeri Akokokar.
Thank you, Cami. As Cami mentioned, we are going to talk today about our ART program. So there are two projects, North-South. Second one is East-West. They're generic name at this point, and we'll go through our naming branding exercise a little bit later next year. And then the third project I'm going to give a little bit information about is our second maintenance facility. So what is the north-south corridor? This is the map on the screen, shows you overview. The service is from airport through San Pedro Avenue, downtown Roosevelt. It ends at Steves Avenue, and then it also extends to Brooks City Base. So one bus will end at Steves, and the next bus that follows will go to Brooks. So that's how it works. The capital limits of this project, and the word capital is important because that's where construction is going to happen. It is going to be on the Sahara station, as you see, a little bit on the map, which is on the north side, yellow underlying, and then it goes all the way through Steves Avenue. The colors tell you type of construction or improvements we are going to have. This is a transit project, so this is not end-to-end road construction project. The project involves transit improvements that are necessary to have our bus rapid transit, or locally we call it advanced rapid transit system, operational to give you travel time advantage, to give you excellent customer experience, and also this is going to give you advantage on travel time, advantage on excellent customer service experience, and it is going to provide connection. The blue faint lines, if you can see on the map, is our underlying network. So this is part of the network. This is a spine, and then we are going to increase that. So the service connection will be from airport to Stone Oak. How will that happen? We have Route 7 that goes from Stone Oak Park and Ride, airport, downtown, and Brooks during peak. And all day long, we do have service from Stone Oak Airport to downtown. So this project also is a complementary to our existing service. The service also is connected to our North Star Mall, from where there is a network. There are multiple routes that go to Medical Center, that goes to Crossroads, Randolph, and various communities. So this project is on top of our existing system. The length is about 12 miles, 26 new stations. A dot is a station. You may have one or two stations depending on the location. Headway, which is frequency in the normal terms, 10 to 15 minutes all day. And then the pink line is where you are going to have service in the center, like bus rapid transit you may have seen in Cleveland, Indy, or you may have seen light rail application where the rail is in the center with the central platform. The blue line is business access transit lanes. Those are transit lanes that are available or you see in downtown today, where bus goes, and you have right turning vehicles, or you can go into a business like a hotel or a residence, something like that. And then yellow is mixed traffic, business as usual, but with improved service. So I'm going to go quickly through a series of slides to explain what happens in a cross section that most of us are familiar with. So on the north end, it's a mixed traffic. Buses is going to be a general purpose lane. And then the next one is going to be on the southern end. We are working to coordinate with city's bond project. There are bicycle lanes, and where our station locations are, we are proposing to take that bicycle lanes behind our station to remove some interaction between bus and a bike. So that's that section on the south on Roosevelt Avenue. The next one is where the differences. This is the first of its kind application in San Antonio, where you have center running dedicated transit lanes in the middle of street with the station between the two lanes. And the question comes up, then how are you going to board and alight? The bus is going to have doors on both sides, because in the center station, you are going to board or alight the vehicle on the left-hand side. When it is on the curb side, you your operation is a regular curbside operation. So there are two sections, right-of-way changes. So those are the two sections. And then business access transit lanes. So the portion is at Monte Vista area and north of 410. You see a bus lane, but you can use bus lane to turn right when there is an intersection or get into a business. So if there is a school and there is entrance, yes, you can get into this lane and turn into the school. That's an example. And so these are the things. Most of the work for our project, as I mentioned, is going to be at the station or the dedicated lanes, which is the difference. So you are reconfiguring that lane. We are working with our partners at CPS SARS and City of San Antonio to take this project forward. We have just completed draft 30% set, which those who are engineers or architects know that's the level. We have not done any vertical design yet. We have footprint, and that is under review. Our website, Keep SA Moving, has some information at about 10 to 15% design, but there are some generic rule plots if you want to go more in detail on that. So what are the improvements? The transit element improvements are where the transit lanes are, stations are, buses. We are going to procure new vehicles, doors on both sides, transit technology that goes at the station on the buses. There would be some recommendation for signal timing and signal improvement for transit signal priority, and then associated infrastructure to make transit work better, which is roadway reconstructions where needed around the stations, sidewalks as you approach the stations. Our customers are all pedestrian. They walk to our station, signal improvement, and then some drainage improvements, because if you're locating station in the middle of the street or at the curb and you're re-engineering that, you may have to look at drainage and other issues. And of course, right-of-way and utilities, where we are going to look at intersection to site our station. So all of that is part of our project. And one thing to mention is this project is funded through local via money, leveraging the upcoming sales tax that we will receive beyond 2020, taking low interest loan from USDOT, and more also, this project is funded through capital improvement grant that is part of the FTA. So it's a three-way funding, and we are in the process. Our project is already listed in President's FY23 budget for 159 plus whatever million. So we have to update our cost, our budgets through the process. So the way it works is every stage you look at your project, scope, cost. Physical improvement snapshot, 47 lane miles, 11 miles of pavement reconstruction, 4 miles of new repaired sidewalks, over 20 intersection improvements, approximately 66 upgraded traffic signals, some drainage improvement, and then about 5 miles of center running transit lanes with median. I've shown you a snapshot of station. Now, what is the schedule? We are here today, end of 2022. Since this is a federal process, we are looking at National Environment Policy Act categorical exclusion document. We have finished most of our technical studies. We are going to have one public hearing for a specific location on Roosevelt Avenue, December 20th. Then we are going to submit our information to federal government, and we expected some decision early next year. Once that decision is made, we are going to request our project to enter into engineering. And that's all the formal steps we have to take. At that time, we go back and forth. There is oversight from federal government. We go back and forth with them on our plans and the cost. And at that time, final cost would be decided. That would be used to define our federal share, how much money we are going to get from the federal government. Then there will be a grant award 2024. That's when we sign agreements for funding, sign agreements for the loan, and then the construction starts, and we expect service to begin 2027. So that's the entire process. We are at 30%, and we'll go through that. East-West corridor is very early. Roughly, it's 2 years behind where we are with the North-South corridor. That means we have had no engineering drawings. We completed planning to define the alignment as you see. The capital project limit is going to be Coca-Cola Plaza or AT&T Center through Houston, then Commerce, Buena Vista Couplet to General McMullen. You see that it's about 7.5 miles, 18 stations, and 13 new vehicles. The North-South project is about 17 vehicles. This is 13 vehicles. And the service is expected to go towards our new East Side Mobility hub, and then to KLAC, which is the existing one. So this is a snapshot of what we are going to start working on this year. Overall schedule is we just got commitment of fund for project development. That is typically the NEPA and 30%. And we have a contractor on board already for that. And then we will go through the same process. We'll complete, then we go into engineering, and then we go into construction. This project, we are trying to identify funding for construction. So this project is behind for that. So this is the overview of the schedule. The service, everything goes well. Service opens in 2029, so 2 years behind. And this project is in CIG pipeline for small start. The current project, North-South, is for new start. So there are nuanced difference on how the process works. Second maintenance facility, we are looking at about 40 acres for expansion of our services, reduction of load on our existing facility. Essentially, functionality will be the similar manner what we have today at Flores and our Myrtle facility, which is operations, maintenance, revenue, non-revenue vehicles, and support staff for all of that. So that is a very, very early stage. The project is in the feasibility, looking at where we can find land, and also looking at operational and maintenance impact, and how do we do routes if we have a second facility. So it's an early planning stage. So what is the next step? We are going to refine what we have, determine what needs to happen to new facility, existing facility, identify phasing and funding, seek other federal government funding opportunity, and then we are beginning site selection and process further. So this is even earlier planning phase. Now the exciting part, because we are here and we are going to deliver what we said we will deliver, which is advanced rapid transit, final design procurement, and these procurement listed here, I expect to be on street next 6 months or earlier. So final design, what does it typically include? It will take off where we will leave with the NEPA decision and 30% engineering, prepare complete final drawings, technical specifications, all the good things that we need to do to bid the project, as well as post-construction design services. And typical vendors, architects, engineers, cost estimate, this is a larger project, so we are going to need a lot of trades and professional services under that. The next one is we have a delivery method that a lot of people ask question. Is it design bid build, design bid, or what you're going to do? We are going to go construction manager at risk route. So the goal is to put 2 procurements simultaneously, a designer and CM at risk, and they will go parallel. Construction cost estimate so far in the base year 2022 is about $175 million base year construction cost. as we are evaluating, it will go, but I want everyone to know order of magnitude when you're thinking whether you want to participate, you want to bid, or you want to do whatever. So that's that cost. And construction management services will include pre-construction, construction phase services, and project closeout. Um, we will have detailed RFP out later. So you will have a lot more information as part of that. And typical vendor, you will have construction manager and then contractors, subcontractors. Guaranteed maximum price will look at 65% at that, and we are in the works to go. The vehicles are low on no emission vehicles. We are further out 18 to 24 months for that procurement, and big doors on both sides. We have started looking at design, but now we are also looking at how vehicle interact with the platform and what is the length. 60-foot vehicles is what we are looking at. The other things we also need is a real estate support service. This is a large project. There are some improvements at stations and intersection. So we are looking at staff augmentation, contract management, project management, invoices, right-of-way support, so on and so forth, and then appraisal. Because this is a federal project, we'll follow federal processes for this. The other one we are looking at public engagement support services, but that one is for Keep San Antonio Moving. As Cami mentioned, we have a lot of different services and projects coming up with Keep San Antonio Moving. VIA is a very lean in terms of staffing. So we are staffing up through the contract. So this public engagement service support staff and contract will help our team oversee elements of marketing, communication, advertisement support, because final design consultant might have collateral materials that need to go to public spaces, then our team is going to oversee that. So this is that contract. And the last but not the least, the most important thing for us is procurement support services. It is for staff augmentation for our procurement so that they can help the project team administer this contract and then implement the project. So we are looking at procurements in various different aspects of how we deliver our projects. And I talked about 3 projects today. There are boards back with ART projects. Keep samoving.com website has a lot more information, including exhibits that we have used for public meetings. So please go and look at the website. And afterwards, we can answer some questions about projects, but not the procurement.
Good morning. As Manjiri mentioned, we have other capital projects at VIA that support our services that have been within our planning for quite a many few years, and they are at different levels in the process. So what we're specifically talking about is 2 future passenger facilities that are in design right now, but they will be coming for construction. And that's what we're really focusing on as far as the procurements that are up and coming. The 2 that you see on the screen are the East Side Mobility Hub. This is along Houston Street, East Houston Street, near Loop 410. Our real estate is currently under contract, and the design is about the 60% phase. So we're anticipating construction around mid-2023 to build this facility. Additionally, the Alamo Ranch Park and Ride, which is at a location near the intersection of 1604 and Highway 151. Real estate is in process as well for that location. We are early in the design process, and we anticipate bidding and construction in early 2024. So just kind of giving an update on each of these different projects, what are the elements that we're looking for associated with them? So specifically on the East Side Mobility Hub, the site itself is about 4 acres. We are providing, as far as amenities, definitely a bus lane and passenger amenities and other types of waiting areas, different things associated with how to support our passengers and provide them a safe area to wait for our services. In that process, it means the type of work that we're looking for has quite a bit of concrete and asphalt paving. At the Mobility Hub itself, it means that you can come on the bus, you can bring your personal vehicle and park there, so you'll see asphalt paving and parking in that area. We will have other amenities like the Via Link and things of that nature that we're anticipating in the future, Via Trans. So we have a variety of different things happening. Flat work associated, right, with anything that we're talking about with respect to sidewalks or platforms or things of that nature would need foundations and flat work. Definitely MEP, because there will be facilities there that require those elements. We will need services for material testing, utilities, landscape and irrigation, and signing and striping in this particular area. As mentioned before, we're anticipating this as in mid-2023 for this particular project. Alamo Ranch Park and Ride is similar, but the site is different. The site is 16 acres. We will have the bus lane and passenger areas there as well. So you see all the same needs of concrete and flat work and MEP, material testing, utilities, landscape and irrigation, signage and striping. This particular location as well anticipates construction. It says mid-23, but it's really in 24 that we're looking at this. As mentioned at the top of the slide, they're in design or in the planning about to start design. So you will see these sorts of procurements coming in the future associated with whether it's the construction or we might need construction management services associated with this as well as part of that staff augmentation that Manjeri was talking about. So this is just kind of a general overview. You can definitely email questions associated with the projects as well. So the next section is how do we get there, right? So I want to introduce Brian Kohlberg, our manager of contracts, to talk about the contracting side of these projects.
Morning, my name is Brian Kohlberg. I'm the manager of contracts at VIA, and I'm happy to be here to share our upcoming procurement contracting opportunities. It's broken out by the category of procurements by dollar threshold, and we have 2 procurement tables on both sides of the room, and we also have a business card that has a QR code that shows how to do business with procurement. But this list right here particularly shows category 1 are all our procurements under $50,000. And then we have a list for category 2 for procurements between $50,000 and $99,000. And then we have all our procurements over $100,000. So this you can see at our tables. You can get on our website and see it. And you can also call anybody in procurement to help you out with that. We also have how to register to do business with VIA. This card has a little QR code. Click on that and it brings this up right here. And it has all the points of contact. It explains how to do business with VIA. And if you need any assistance, all that's right there for you. So I'm the manager of procurement, so I do all the procurements over the all the formal procurements. And I'll recognize Mr. Todd Bashan. He is the small purchase procurements.
Hello, everybody. I see some familiar faces in there. My name is Todd Bashan. I do the informal purchasing, toilet paper, compressors for the AC units, small plumbing jobs, electrical work. We do it all promotional, but I've been at VIA since the late 90s. Started as a bus operator. I worked in maintenance, finance, and I worked on the contracting side and procurement for over a decade. So I'm familiar with these upcoming projects and they sound really fantastic, a lot of opportunities. But the opportunity came to be the manager of purchasing, so I jumped on board with that right when COVID hit, so it wasn't the best time, but we managed to get our sanitizers and our gloves. And it's nice seeing you guys, and I have my card here, and I'm at the website, and My name's Todd Deshawn.
Thank you, Todd. Please go to one of the procurement tables on either side, pick up one of these cards. Our main number is on the back with our address, and we're always here to help. So now I'd like to bring up Mr. Bridges. He's the Director of Supplier and Diversity Program.
I have a question. Is this, should I do this or? So, okay, that's the right answer. So do me a favor. I need a little bit more energy because I have an outgoing personality. One of the things that we're going to do today, so this is an educational session. I'm going to show you everything in 10 minutes that you wanted to know about the DBE program, but we're afraid to ask. Just to give you an overview, we're going to talk about the purpose and function of the DBE program. And it's really tied to the U.S. Department of Transportation assisted funding sources. So when you leave here today, you're going to be a subject matter expert. We're going to talk about what is a DBE. Then I'm going to talk about the Texas Unified Certification Program. So the test is, just say TUCP. Can you say that? Got it. Okay. I'm going to talk about what the DBE program requirements are. And then we're going to talk about business development and supported services and what we do and how we help you. Want to introduce you to the dream team. Mustafa and Richard are on this side. We do outreach. Karina, Anna, and Kevin are on this side. We do compliance, reporting, and tracking. So the goal is ensure that disadvantaged business enterprise have the maximum opportunity to compete on all the contracts. Does that make sense, Mike? We also want to ensure that only the firms eligible are considered. And then what we're paid consultants to help the DBE firms ensure that they are qualified when they reach you. And ultimately, what we'd like for them to be able to do is to compete outside of the DBE program. That's a lot, but I'm take it to you slow. So think about the funding source. So when you talk about the certification programs across the country, so the DBE program applies to Federal Highway. An example would be Texas Department of Transportation. Federal Aviation, an example would be San Antonio International Airport, and the transit via Metropolitan Transit. So all of our money is coming from the same source. Once we get those dollars, so the DBE program can apply to any state, any city, any municipality, any airport across the country. So I don't have to tell you what a DBE is. Long story short, it's minorities, women, all the various categories. And then the small business program, think in terms of a race neutral program. It has nothing to do with race or gender. It has to do with the size of your business. So an example, if I'm a environmental engineering consulting firm, as long as my gross revenues are not more than $16.5 million average over 3 years. So that's, and the reason I have to level set is because at the end of the day, when you're presenting your proposals, and if you think about the various programs, now there are a lot of other certifications out there. But the point of the matter is if you're dealing with US DOT dollars, highway, aviation, transit, And if there's a goal attached to it, it must be a certified disadvantaged business enterprise in order to count toward the goal. It doesn't mean you can't use them, others, it just means as it relates to credits toward that goal. Are we clear? Mike, is that understand it? Okay. Just checking in. So what I'm responsible for is all of the money that Mangier just talked about as it relates to the federal program. My job, since I chose to accept this assignment, is to ensure that only certified disadvantaged business enterprises are participating on these projects. That's the condition of the grant money that we are receiving. Now, I'm gonna pause right here because I'm not gonna call you today. Someone will submit and they say, well, okay, but I'm over here. Can I use a WBE? Okay, is that DBE? DBE. Now, quite frankly, a woman-owned business, a minority-owned business, African American-owned business, Hispanic, Asian, they're all DBEs. But it's that section, the DBE program, that's the message that we have to talk about when we're talking about federal funding. Next slide. You're doing great so far. Haven't given you the test yet. So think about this. Now, VIA has 2 buckets of money. We got bucket money over here coming from the feds, and that's our DBE program. On this side, we're very fortunate because we get that 1/8 cent sales tax. Proposition B passed in November, back a couple of years ago. We'll soon get some additional funding. So if we take the money out of our budget, operating budget, anywhere other than the federal funding, it will have an SBE goal attached. The magic about this is if I'm using federal funds, I can use a DBE firm or an SBE. But I can't go the other way. Where's Jennifer? Does that make sense? If it's local money, if it's local dollars, I must have an SBE program. If it's federal dollars, it's a DBE program. Here's one other step. So let's just say that we got the DBE, the federal money, and the SBE program. We need a few more dollars. If you take $1 out of that gray space and add it to the red circle, the entire project becomes a federal project. And that just means I got to have a DBE goal. I can't commingle the dollars. So that is important. And the reason I'm talking in slow motion is because I don't want you to go through and do all of this work and tell us how much time and effort and energy you've spent on that proposal. And just because it was a WBE or MBE, it wasn't a DBE, then I'm telling you, it would be deemed non-responsive. So one of the things, and thank you, Cameron, for having this vision, one of the things that we talked about is we want to have this educational session so that we can give you an opportunity to understand it, form your teams, and make sure that there's a very, very serious proposition, a value proposition. The Texas Unified Certification Program, I'm giving you this. In Texas, any of these firms we accept the certification from. South Central Texas is the one that is in our area. They are the ones that certify in all of the Bexar County and the 12 contiguous counties. But we will accept a DBE certification from any of these. The DBE program requirements, and you can get the DBE plan, but I just pulled some of the main points out of it. What you're required to have with that DBE plan, there's some language, it's called the flow down language. So we have developed a contract with you. So what you have to do is execute a subcontractor agreement with your subs. That's what make it a commitment. Those subs also must perform a commercial useful function. It means they got to actually be able to do the work that you have them listed as. We also have in the regulations a prompt payment clause. Once we pay you, then you have 10 days, according to the regulations, to pay the subs. There's also a very important piece, which is the termination and substitution. So as you get on the project and you decide, there are things that come up, sometimes contractors decide that your contract is only $1 million, I can go to the airport and get one for 2, so I'm stopping, but you have to get the substitution and the termination agreement. So what that says is you have to write a letter, say I want to substitute, here's why, and state the reason, and that all keeps us in compliance. So I'm giving you this, and we're going to be able to talk more detail. Now let's talk about the circle. I'm just using an example. We meet you at an event like this. That's the outreach. The very next thing we will ask you to do is register on our VIA web portal. And what that does is it assures you that every contract, every solicitation, you will get a copy of it. Matter of fact, you have to opt out and say, don't send me anymore. So that's the advantage. Once you get into the system, then what our team does on your behalf, we will literally sit down with the firms and we spend about 1 hour with them and we conduct a business assessment. And all we're doing is talking about how long you've been in business, what your capabilities are, what your next codes are, what your strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats, and then we provide any type of one-on-one technical assistance or what have you. Once we do that, we've added another element, and this is key. If you have firms that are not certified, and you've developed relationships, and you would like to get them certified, send them to us. We will work with that firm to help them complete all of the paperwork. Now, the research suggests that it takes about 40 to 50 hours to complete the application. But there's a value proposition in having that DBE certification. So what we're doing is we're helping them gather the paperwork. And oftentimes we do it in several sessions. So we're doing that so that when they reach you, they are technically qualified. They got the DBE certification and things of that nature. We provide other types of technical assistance. Now, we also identify upcoming opportunities, and Brian just talked about that. We have in addition to what Mangieri has discussed with you, we can show you what's coming down for the next 2 years. So all that is doing is giving you an opportunity to put your teams together. Okay? Then all we can do is encourage you to be it. So if you think in terms of that, that's really what we're trying to get done in anticipation of all of the projects rolling out. So we give you advance notice. And let me just share one other thing with you. The color codes. Here's the test. If you are, and we're just making it easy. If you're prime, You can identify in the room just by color coding. You don't necessarily have to walk up to someone and say, "What do you do?" Okay, you want to begin putting those teaming opportunities together. And then if they're blue, they're DBE. And then, of course, the VIA staff. But the other thing that I would say to you is if I were sitting on your side of the room, I would, and I had to pick one certification, I would become a DBE if I'm eligible. And if I'm a prime contractor, I would develop a relationship with one or more DBEs because at one point you can flip the script. So the DBE, and here's key, the DBE has to perform a minimum of 30% of the work to be considered a prime contractor. So if you really wanted to, so you could do some mixing and matching as it relates to just trying to do several things to make yourself stronger and more marketable. And there's a strong value proposition there with partnering like with instances like that. Now here's the test. I heard y'all laughing when I bought my old school notebook here. But what I'd like for you to do in the future, if you want to you have the yellow sheets of paper, if you want to handwrite your questions and put a stamp on it and mail it to us, we're going to be able to respond to those questions. If you want to use technology, you can scan that code in. You can send that information back to someone in your office, but the goal is to ensure that you're registered on the compliance reporting system that VIA has. And ironically, this is the same system that you will use to process your payments and your invoices and things of that nature. So in the future, and the key thing is the W-9 form. If someone ever call you and say, "I need the W-9," that's the indication that that's what's going to be used once you get the contract and we're ready to write the check. So all your responses, put them in writing. Cammie talked about creating a level playing field. But we want your questions to go in on that sheet, submit them to the address that we have. We're going to formulate answers and responses to all these questions, send them back to everyone. Now, if you want to be on the portal, we can do it that way. That's the growth mindset. If you have a fixed mindset, you just want us to email them to you directly to your inbox, we'll do that as well. So those are the things that we have for you. And I think at the end of the day, we got to keep San Antonio moving. Just from today, the next steps would be, depending on Cammie and Mangieri, we can do another session like this every quarter or every 6 months. But that's what we're doing to gather all the information on your behalf. Now, tonight, if you're in town, there's an outreach event at the San Antonio Airport. Tomorrow, you can be at Bexar County Conference, one of the largest ones in the country over at Bexar County. And you have all of our contact information. We'll be standing around. And if you have any questions of any of us, feel free to ask. Thank you.
I learned today that it's very important for all companies to participate in the VIA contracting system. Definitely also understanding the DBE program is also important because a lot of the funding is geared towards DBE and SBE firms that are located in San Antonio, Texas and around Texas.
Hi, how are you? This is Roxana Gomez. I work for the NBDA, the Federal Procurement Supplemental Center. So I'm super excited to be here because I think this is a great opportunity to learn what's going on with VIA Transit, what are the opportunities for a small business or businesses that are part of minorities that, in other words, that's what I actually do. I help minority business that they are looking for contracting opportunities. So this is a great opportunity for us to get this information and probably share that information with our clients and the process that they have to do in order to get those bidding or contracting opportunities.